Single? Ah, a word to dread or a word to love? Well, nothing wrong with the word. It's the status that bothers many people. See, being single can be a great blessing, should be a great blessing. First of all, when you find yourself being single, and with being single I mean this: not married, not in a relationship, others, not going steady with anybody, not dating continually. You are being single, means you're alone. You are me, moi. No family, no partner, no companion, just me. Doesn't mean I don't have friends. It means none of that. Single is being you on your own. That can be and should be a great blessing. You see, Yahweh never intended that to be a burden, never intended that to be a bad thing. We live in a society where being single has become a bad thing, as if there's something wrong with you. If you don't have a girlfriend, or you're not engaged, or you're not married, depending on which age you are, of course, the older you get, the worse it gets in the eyes of the world, of the society we live in. But here's what I want to say to you. Don't let society label you as deficient or as lacking. Don't feel that I'm lacking because I'm not in a relationship. Don't feel just because I'm not married. See, as a believer, I believe there's only one or two things. Dating aside, you see, we dealt with it in the video, dating versus courting. I firmly believe, as sons of Yahweh, as children of God, we should not be dating. We should be courting, seeking marriage. Yes, that's godly. But don't, when you're not married, make it a problem. Change the narrative. First thing you've got to deal with when you're single, you've got to deal with that narrative, that dialogue that goes on in your head, that feels I'm lacking, I'm missing. And then everybody, well-meaning, comes along and you hear teachings like, and you read books like that, I became complete when I discovered my wife. Be that as it may. The Bible does say, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. It does say that. It says a wife is an asset. I do believe that there's certain aspects of it only come to fullness in marriage. But it does not mean you lack. You see, in the beginning, when God said it's not good for man to be alone, he was not looking at Adam, finding him deficient, finding him, oh shame, poor Adam. No. He was looking at Adam. And Adam, you see, here's the key. It happened when he brought the animals to Adam to name them. And Adam named them. He called them forth. See? He called forth what they were. He gave them identity in the naming. And then he saw they were 2 by 2. 2 by 2, male and female. And he realized, but he is one. Now, being one means he would never multiply. 1 plus 1, it's not 1 plus 1. It's 1 times 1 equals 1. Because you said there's no 1 to plus with. So there can't be 2. There is just 1. And when he said it, when Yahweh said, it is not good for man to be alone, what he was saying is, man must multiply, because you see, he already made them male and female. Eve was in Adam. It was time now to bring Eve out and present her to Adam, so that they be 2, so they can multiply, so they can increase. That does not mean that God looks at a single person and says, shame, it's not good for Stephanus to be alone. Now, I have been alone basically all my life. I was a loner from childhood. I played alone. I was comfortable in my own company. In fact, I sometimes escaped from my friends to be on my own. I was alone. I never dated at school. I didn't. Not because, it doesn't matter why not, I just did not. So I've never really been in any kind of steady relationship too in my life. But here's what I discovered. I discovered that being single need not be negative, need not be bad. See, change the narrative in your mind. Stop Stop identifying with the jokes. Don't allow other people to make you less because you're single. Yes, society does not cater for single people at large. Society is made for couples. That tells you something. It does not mean that for the sake of being a couple, I should be in relationship. You should seek relationship with a woman for the right reason. You should seek it in a courting relationship to be married. Have friends, by all means, strict boundaries. See, deal with that narrative. Find out, here's what you want to find when you are single. You want to discover who Yahweh is for you. See, we ask the wrong questions. We want to know why, Lord, why this, why that, why am I single? Why am I 30 and not married yet? You think I didn't ask those questions? What you want to know is, Lord, what is this? What does it mean? And who do you want to be for me in this season? In other words, be in the journey. What must I discover? You need to learn to be comfortable in your own company. You need to be comfortable in your own skin. Become comfortable being single. It doesn't mean that you give up on marriage. It doesn't mean that you come to a point where you think, maybe, I'm just like the Apostle Paul. I did that. I remember, I think it was in the very same week, that Saturday, I think, I was at some meeting. And a guy came up to me whom I've never met. He doesn't know me at all. He couldn't know anything about me because he doesn't even know anybody I know. I met him there for the first time. And we were talking, and of course, the subject of me being single comes up because people ask, so you married? How many children? That just comes up in conversation. I said, no, I'm single. I've never been married. So he looks at me and he says, why not? I can't remember if he asked me why not. I remember the statement. I don't know exactly at what point, but at one point he looked at me and he said, you know what? God has enough Pauls. He doesn't want another Paul. And he walked off. And I'm like standing there. And in that, I think it was in the very week, I kind of came to the conclusion, maybe I'm just like the Apostle Paul, No. Clearly not. Clearly not. Paul was that way because he was called that way. You examine his life, you examine what he did, it's clear that Paul could never have been married. His marriage would not have survived. He could not, he chose that. He was made that way for the kingdom. It was a gift to Paul. Don't think that you should walk in the same measure of it. I tried that. But it wasn't my gift, you see. It wasn't my calling. It wasn't what Yahweh had for me. Yahweh had marriage for me. Today I'm married, and I can tell you being married is good. Being married is good. Being married is excellent. You see, you don't have to make marriage bad to make peace with being single. Don't do that. Don't make marriage bad. Don't make marriage negative. While you are single, embrace that time. Use that time. And yes, another thing I discovered when I was single. I discovered you can rule the flesh. Yes, that may be a revelation to many of you. It certainly was to me. But you can rule. Now, there is grace from God, you see. You've got to find that grace that the Lord has for you to rule the flesh. You can master the desires of the flesh. But that means you must discipline the flesh. You cannot put yourself in a dating relationship continually, being in physical proximity continually, kissing, touching a woman, or a man for that matter if you're a woman. You cannot do that and not expect temptation and not expect to be burnt. Right? So you do have to do that. But you can train yourself. I have discovered, I trained myself. I trained myself not to look, not to see. Everybody would say, did you see that? Wow, that woman is a knockout. I'd be like, where, what? Because you see, I discovered that I could be veiled. And I could just not see. I could just not engage. I would see. Sometimes, you look and some women come to the shopping mall or they go shopping in their gym clothes. And I'm walking up and I'm seeing this. And it's not much to the imagination. I would not look a second time. I've discovered the body can be trained. This thing about a man being a man, don't embrace that. You can train the body. You can train yourself. You can find that grace. Because you see, you throw yourself on the grace of God. And a man is stimulated visually is certainly true. That is true. God made us that way. But it doesn't mean that it's an automatic thing that happens, and when it happens, I just can't control it. Sorry, No. You can choose to take the remote off, change channel. You can choose to not watch. You can choose to not look. You can choose. As a pastor, we haven't been in full-time ministry for something like, I think it was 15, 17 years, basically. I'm still in ministry, but not at this point full-time. But I'm still ministering. But here's the thing. I had a congregation, and specifically, sometimes you minister to women. You're praying for this woman. You don't look down. Because if I look down, I can see everything. Embarrassing. Eyes. Eye contact. I don't look down. I do not look. I make eye contact. You can too. You can choose that. You can choose that. So that being aside, that should not be an issue. Now you can go and you can say, Lord, where is the grace in this for me? Find the grace of God in that. You see, Jesus said, some were born eunuchs. Some were made eunuchs by men. And some chose it for the sake of the kingdom. But that's a grace. Paul said, it is not everybody's gift. You see? Being single, being permanently single, being called single, it is natural for you to want a wife. It is natural for you to want a husband. It is natural for you to desire to be in relationship. What you should not allow is the desire to rule you, but rule that desire. While you are single, use the time. You have time. See, read 1 Corinthians 7, Paul says, he who is married, or she who is married rather, use the example of a woman, seeks to please her husband, and he seeks to please his wife. But being single, you can be mindful about the things of God. Build your relationship with the Lord. Invest in your relationship with Yahweh. Walk with the Holy Spirit. Discover Yeshua. Discover the finished work of the cross. Lay a foundation so when you do get married, you walk into marriage having already walked out your identity as a son of God. That's a huge advantage. I want to encourage our young people. If you're young, you're at school still. Don't date for the sake of dating. Don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend for the sake of having one. Don't do that. Keep yourself pure for marriage. You will pluck the fruits of it. You will taste the fruit of it. It is an awesome gift to come together and you are pure sexually. It is. There is an advantage in that. There are many things in my life I can tell you, many doors that just never opened because I never went there. Many things, many unnecessary baggage I avoided by not going there. Do the same. And walk the path. Walk the journey. Discover yourself. Discover Him. And just be complete. Choose to be complete. Choose to invest in yourself. Choose to discover your identity in Christ. Choose to walk in it. By the time you get married, you come into marriage already understanding many things, already being able to model Christ to your wife. The picture of Ephesians 5 of marriage would not be that difficult if we walk it out as singles already. If we discover already dying to self, laying down my life for someone, putting others ahead of myself, esteeming others better than myself, find love, embrace the love of it, the love of being, love the time, rule the time you have as a single person. So that when you have less time for yourself being married, it is not a problem, because I used the time I had. Now when you're married, of course, there's a different time. Times are different now. Time takes a different meaning now. It does not mean that you do not have time anymore. It means you utilize it differently, because there's a different purpose for that time now. When you're single, there's purpose. Find that purpose. I want to encourage you. I want to bless you with discovering Yahweh's peace and grace in your status of being single. Discovering His truth for you. Discovering who He wants to be for you in this time where you find yourself. I bless you with revelation knowledge. I bless you with understanding. I bless you with great grace and peace to walk it out. Walk it out. Walk it out. Walk it out. Know this, God does not see you as less. He does not consider you as lacking. Don't you do it. Don't allow others to do it. You are complete. You are complete because you are in Him. He is your completeness. He is your fullness. Discover that condition. Then when you come into marriage, you bring that in as a gift to your wife. Now you can truly love your wife as Christ loved the church. Be blessed in being single. Embrace grace and peace to you. Until next time, Shalom.